Good afternoon. You're listening to ICONOCAST. I'm your host, Chris Potter, and today we're tackling something that affects more men than almost any other health issue here in America. Yet almost nobody is talking about it openly. Here's a question. When was the last time you felt genuinely great? Not just okay, not just getting through your day, but actually sharp, strong, motivated, kind of like yourself. For a lot of men listening right now, they'd have to think pretty hard to answer that. And there's a reason for that. Around age 40, our body goes through a hormonal shift that is very real, very measurable, and completely ignored by mainstream medicine until it becomes a crisis. Today, we're going to cover what's actually happening inside your body, what the symptoms look like, what the long-term consequences are if you ignore it, and most importantly, what you can do about it right now. We're going to back up all this with current peer-reviewed research, not just bro science from the internet. Let's start with biology, because once you understand what's actually happening, everything else makes sense. Testosterone is the master hormone of the male body. It governs everything from muscle mass to bone density, fat distribution, libido, mood, cognitive sharpness, red blood cell production, and cardiovascular health. It's not just a sex hormone like everybody says. It is a systemic regulator of how your body functions. Now, here's where it gets important. A 2024 review published in Reproductive Biology and Endocrinology confirmed what most men experience firsthand, which is that testosterone production begins declining around age 30. And by 40, most men are operating with a measurably lower level than they did at their peak. Here's the mechanism, and I want to explain it very clearly. Testosterone is produced primarily in the Leydig cells. These are specialized cells within the testicles. The process is ultimately controlled by a feedback loop. Your hypothalamus releases GnRH, which signals the pituitary gland to release LH, or luteinizing hormone, which then signals these Leydig cells to make testosterone. As you age, two things go wrong with this system. First, the Leydig cells themselves become less responsive and fewer in number. But secondly, a 2022 study found that the age-related cellular stress, specifically something called endoplasmic reticulum stress, disrupts the circadian clock of these Leydig cells, reducing their output of testosterone even when the signal from the brain is still normal. So, your brain might be sending the right signals, but the factory is just not producing at full capacity anymore. And it's not just aging. Research published in PMC in 2025, a comprehensive review called Understanding the Secular Decline in Testosterone, documented that modern men have lower testosterone levels than men of their same age just 2 to 3 decades ago. What are those culprits? Their obesity, their physical inactivity, poor diet, chronic stress, poor sleep, and something called endocrine disrupting chemicals. These are plastics and microplastics, pesticides, industrial compounds that are everywhere in our environment. So if you are 40 and you feel different than you did at 30, this is why. It isn't weakness. This isn't aging gracefully. This is a measurable physiological change that has real consequences. And the research is very clear on what those consequences are. Let's talk about symptoms. And I want you to be honest with yourself as I run through a list, because a lot of men write these off as just getting older. Clinical research guidelines identify the following hallmark signs of low testosterone, what's medically called hypogonadism. The European Male Aging Study and multiple subsequent trials confirm these consistently. First, fatigue and low energy, not just tiredness, the kind of fatigue where you get a full night's sleep and still wake up exhausted, or where the afternoon slumps feel like you are hitting a wall. This is one of the most common complaints with low testosterone. Secondly, reduced libido, not just less interest in sex, but general dimming of drive and desire, which extends beyond the bedroom, lower motivation, less competitive fire, and less initiative. Third, changes in body composition. We're gaining fat, especially around the belly, while losing muscle even when you're still exercising. Low testosterone reduces your ability to build and maintain lean mass. Fourth, mood changes, irritability, low-grade depression, emotional blunting. A 2026 meta-analysis in Science Direct found that non-linear relationship between free testosterone and depression risk, with lower levels strongly associated with higher depression risk, particularly in middle-aged men. Fifth, brain fog and cognitive decline. Difficulty concentrating, slower recall, feeling mentally scattered. Testosterone directly affects neurotransmitter regulation, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, and when levels drop, cognitive sharpness drops with it. 6. Poor sleep quality. Low testosterone disrupts sleep architecture, less deep sleep, more frequent waking, and here's the cruel irony. Poor sleep further suppresses testosterone production and is a self-perpetuating cycle. Number 7, erectile dysfunction and decreased sexual performance. This is often what brings men into the clinic, but it's usually one of the last symptoms to appear, not the first. And the 8th is decreased bone density and loss of body hair and reduced testicular size in more advanced cases. Now, here's something important that research highlights. Standard lab work often misses this. A study published in the European Male Aging Study found that men with low free testosterone, even when total testosterone looks normal, show significantly more androgen deficiency symptoms. So if your doctor ran a basic panel and said you're fine, that may not be the whole picture. And a 2024 meta-analysis of prospective cohort studies found an inverse association between testosterone levels and cardiovascular disease risk over a 20-year period. Testosterone is anabolic. It drives muscle protein synthesis. When levels fall, your body loses hormonal signal to maintain muscle mass. A 2021 cross-sectional study found that declining free testosterone is directly associated with decreased muscle mass and muscle strength and increased fat mass in older men. Over time, this progresses to sarcopenia, the clinical term for age-related muscle loss. And it's not just an aesthetic issue. Sarcopenia is linked to falls, fractures, loss of independence, and significantly higher mortality risk. Importantly, research shows that loss of muscle and accumulation of intramuscular fat is driven by a combination of low testosterone, oxidative stress, inflammatory cytokines, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Research from 2021 found that in men with type 2 diabetes, hypogonadism significantly worsened glycemic control and metabolic markers. Now let's talk about one that surprises a lot of people: cognitive decline and dementia. A landmark 2022 UK biomarker prospective cohort study, one of the largest of its kind, found that lower serum testosterone concentrations are associated with a significantly higher incidence of dementia in men. The mechanism is that testosterone supports neuroplasticity, which protects neurons from oxidative stress and regulates the neurotransmitters responsible for memory and executive function. As levels decline, the brain becomes more vulnerable to these insults that lead to cognitive decline. Finally, and this is perhaps the most overlooked consequence, which is chronic low testosterone wreaks havoc on men's relationships. Reduced libido, depressive symptoms, irritability, emotional withdrawal, and decreased motivation all create distance between the men and their partners, their families, and their own sense of identity. A 2020 study in the Journal of Andrology found that testosterone has a measurable effect on mood, behavior, and quality of life, and that men with hypogonadism consistently score lower on well-being assessments. Research from Frontiers in Endocrinology in 2023 confirmed that hypogonadism and depression are closely linked, in that treating the hormonal deficiency can resolve depressive symptoms that antidepressants alone doesn't touch. Now, the part that actually matters: what can you actually do about it? There are 3 tiers here: lifestyle, supplementation, and clinical intervention, and we are about to go through all 3. So let's start out with tier 1, which is lifestyle modification. What things can you do in your life that can boost testosterone? These are the foundation. Without these in place, everything else works less well. Sleep. I cannot overstate this. Your body produces the majority of its testosterone during deep sleep, specifically during the slow wave and the REM cycles. Research consistently shows that sleep deprivation of even 1 week can reduce testosterone levels by 10 to 15%. Fix your sleep first. 7 to 9 hours, dark room, consistent schedule. These are the keys to getting good quality sleep. Resistance training. Compounding lifts such as squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows have the most robust evidence for actually raising testosterone levels. A 2024 meta-analysis confirmed that progressive resistance training meaningfully supports testosterone and lean mass, particularly in men over 40. Chronic endurance only training like marathon running can actually suppress it. Now let's talk about diet, because this is a key for all our body. Adequate healthy fat intake from sources like avocado, olive oil, eggs, and fatty fish is essential. Your body cannot make testosterone without dietary cholesterol and fat. Low-fat diets have been shown in studies to reduce testosterone. Also, Chronic calorie restriction and low protein intake both suppress androgen production. Stress management. Chronic elevated cortisol, the stress hormone, directly suppresses testosterone production at the Leydig cell level. This is not metaphorical. This is biochemical competition. Cortisol and testosterone, they work against each other. And if you're chronically stressed with no recovery, your testosterone will reflect that. Body weight. Visceral fat, which is that fat that is packed around your organs, actively converts testosterone into estrogen via an enzyme called an aromatase. The more visceral fat you carry, the more testosterone you lose by this conversion. Losing even 5 to 10% of your body weight has measurable effects on your testosterone levels. A few supplements have genuine clinical evidence, not just marketing. Let me give you the ones with real science behind them. Vitamin D. A 2022 systematic review found that vitamin D supplementation significantly increased both free and total testosterone in men who were deficient, which in the United States is a large portion of the adult male population. Now let me bring this all home. At 40, your body is giving you information. The fatigue, the brain fog, the belly you can't seem to shake, the mood that doesn't feel like you anymore, these are not random. They are measurable and they are hormonal and they are treatable. The research is clear. Left untreated, low testosterone accelerates things like cardiovascular disease, muscle loss, metabolic dysfunction, bone loss, cognitive decline, and depression. But the same research shows that men who address it, whether through lifestyle, targeted supplementation, or TRT when appropriate, report dramatically improved quality of life. The first step is the most important one. Get your levels tested. A proper hormone panel, which includes a total testosterone, a free testosterone, LH, an estradiol, and an SHBG, gives you actual data that you can work with. Stop guessing about how you feel. Know what your hormones are doing. At my clinic in Sarasota, Eros Vitality, we run comprehensive hormone panels and build personalized protocols, not cookie cutter prescriptions. Whether you're looking to start with lifestyle and supplementation, or you're ready to explore clinical options, we'll meet you where you are. Thanks for listening to ICONOCAST. If this episode made sense to you, share it with a man that you know needs to hear it. We'll see you next week.